I once swallowed a book of synonyms. It's given me thesaurus throat I've ever had. Today, I'm going to recap a 2020 action crime film called The Beast. The film opens by introducing a man called Leonida, an ex-captain of the Italian Special Forces, known for executing perilous missions that seem unattainable to most. Leon consistently accomplishes each mission. However, during his final mission, he encounters a distressing event that leaves him deeply traumatized, necessitating regular visits to a psychiatrist and sedatives to alleviate depression. One day, Leonida goes to the school to watch his daughter Teresa play rugby with her classmates. Afterward, he visits his son Matteo, who seems to disregard his presence and walks away. Leonida discusses their children's issues with his wife Angela. For the past few years, Leonida hasn't lived with his wife and children as he chose to reside alone due to his extreme depression, concerned about his precarious mental state potentially harming his family. Leonida pledges to return to them once he has recovered. That evening, Angela needs to attend a meeting and asks Matteo to take Teresa out to dinner and watch over her. Matteo brings Teresa to a fast food establishment, but refuses her request to visit their father's house as he doesn't want to see him. While eating, Matteo knows his two friends outside and asks Teresa to wait outside while he speaks with them. Engrossed in the conversation, Matteo suddenly remembers his sister waiting alone and rushes back, only to find her missing. A waitress reports that a man in a jeep kidnapped Teresa. Panicking, Matteo contacts his father and informs him about Teresa's abduction before reporting it to the police. Shortly after, Leonida arrives at the scene alongside Detective Simonetti and his officers. Simonetti informs Leonida that they are searching for all nearby jeeps in connection to the abduction. Soon, they receive news of a suspicious jeep evading the police. As Simonetti orders his men to pursue the jeep, Leonida commandeers Simonetti's car to chase the kidnapper and rescue his daughter. Utilizing the police radio in the car, Leonida can easily track the kidnapper's jeep. Leon takes a shortcut and manages to catch up with the kidnapper's vehicle. He attempts to force the jeep off the road, but his efforts fail as the jeep speeds away. Concurrently, Angela is devastated. Upon learning about her daughter's abduction, Simonetti and his team investigate Leonida, discovering that he is an ex-Special Forces captain who had aided the United States government in Afghanistan. However, Leonida suffers from psychological issues following his last mission, rendering him mentally unstable. Simonetti speculates that Teresa's abductor might be an enemy from Leonida's past, and instructs his officers to monitor him to prevent potential harm to others during his pursuit. After losing sight of the kidnapper, Leonida approaches a drug dealer, hoping to gain information about the city's criminal activities. Following a confrontation with drug dealers at a gas station, Leonida heads to a nightclub to meet another dealer. There, he overhears a woman discussing a young girl and a jeep. Suspicious, Leonida follows the woman to her boyfriend, who was revealed to be the kidnapper. From their conversation, Leonida learns that Teresa has been sold and the woman is pleased with the profit her boyfriend made. Enraged, Leonida confronts the kidnapper, engaging in a brutal fight. As the woman hides, Leonida is stabbed, but ultimately kills the kidnapper by slitting his throat. Unfortunately, the kidnapper dies before revealing who purchased Teresa. Leonida tries to chase the woman for information, but she escapes. He decides to take the kidnapper's cell phone to gather information. The following night, Simonetti and his officers possess buyers to infiltrate a mafia group involved in human trafficking, hoping to find Teresa. However, the mobsters are aware of their disguises, leading to a shootout. Meanwhile, Leon visits an old friend, seeking assistance in retrieving information about his daughter's abduction. From the kidnapper's phone, it is revealed that Leonida lost all his men during his last mission, leaving him as the sole survivor, which has caused him immense guilt and grief. His friend reassures him that the deaths were not his fault and that Leonida's men were aware of the risks they faced during their missions. Despite his friend's reassurance, Leonida remains guilt-ridden and devastated by the loss of his subordinates. After obtaining information about the person the kidnapper sold his daughter to, Leonida rushes to the location to find Teresa. Upon arriving, he stealthily enters and spots the kidnapper's lover being held captive by a man named Mozart, a crime lord notorious for human trafficking. Mozart is frustrated that Teresa's kidnapping has drawn police attention, endangering his operation and resulting in the death of several of his men. Consequently, he decides to kill the woman for the trouble Her boyfriend caused, while hiding, Leonida locates Teresa, who recognizes her father. He tells her to remain calm, but just as she is about to save her, one of Mozart's henchmen catches him and calls for backup. Teresa is taken away, leaving Leonida to confront Mozart's underlings on his own. After defeating them one by one, Leonida faces Mozart's most formidable henchmen. Following an intense battle, the injured and exhausted Leonida is overpowered and his body is thrown into the water. Elsewhere, Matteo watches a video recording at the police station, revealing his father's conversation with a military general. During his time as a respected Special Forces captain, Leonida's last mission left him with enduring trauma and depression, causing him to distance himself from his family for their protection. Realizing the true reason for his father's isolation, Matteo feels immense guilt for believing that Leonida had abandoned them. The next day, Matteo and his mother visit Leonida, who is hospitalized after the police found him alive during their raid on Mozart's hideout. However, Mozart and his henchmen have already escaped. In Leonida's hospital room, he asks Matteo to use a clip on the nameplate to unlock his handcuffs as the police restrained him for security reasons. When a police officer enters the room, Leonida takes his gun and demands the officer contact headquarters to investigate all assets owned by Mozart, as he must be hiding in one of his properties. Realizing that Mozart owns an abandoned skyscraper, Leonida deduces that he is holding Teresa captive there. After preparing himself, he traversed the location with Matteo. En route, Leonida asks Matteo to return home and wait while he rescues Teresa. In short, Leonida reaches the abandoned building and eliminates Mozart's henchmen one by one. Meanwhile, Mozart is in the midst of selling Teresa to a mobster. Leon's sudden appearance causes Mozart to panic, shooting Leon and attempting to push him off the building's roof. Leonida turns the tables and throws Mozart from the height. Instead, Leonida eventually discovers his helpless daughter in a room. As he is about to take Teresa away, he is confronted by the mobster who had transacted with Mozart earlier. The mobster aims his gun at Leonida but is swiftly incapacitated by Simonetti. Once the situation is resolved, Teresa is taken to the hospital for medical attention. Simonetti and Leonida express their gratitude to each other, relieved that the case is solved and Teresa is safe. Finally, Teresa is reunited with her family. Angela and Matteo are overjoyed that she has returned home safely. Leonida watches his family from a distance, feeling immense relief that they are reunited and well. As he is about to leave, Matteo calls out to him, asking him to come back home and live with them. Leonida, however, declines. He tells Matteo that he will work hard to recover from his mental trauma and return to his family as soon as possible. As he misses them dearly, Matteo embraces his father tightly before Leonida departs. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.